everyone, it's me Noxys and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to take a deep dive into the secrets hidden inside the Echoing Conches scattered across the entire Golden Apple archipelago. We all did it for Summer Barbara outfit, but some of you might have missed the part where you need to listen to these conches before forgetting they ever existed. It turns out that these conches were trying to tell us an overarching storyline with some bits of lore that may become important to us later on as we move forward with our Summer Island adventures. After having collected all of them, I was able to come up with some very interesting conclusions about the interconnection of the many voices we heard from these magical seashells. I'm going to go through each chapter in great detail, but I left out chapter 6 since it was not relevant for this context. So let's start with chapter 1, Songs of a Distant Home, where all of the echoing conches can be found within Twinning Isle. Chapter 1 tells us the story about the people who inhabited the Twinning Isle for generations. The chapter unfolded in a chronological manner, but it had such a sad tone to it. The first grandma said that they got shipwrecked 10 years ago and probably were among the first settlers of Twinning Isle. She then gave her grandchild a gift, which means the heirloom was now handed down to the third generation, starting from first conch grandma. The third generation child became a mother and in turn passed down the heirloom to her own daughter, who is the fourth generation. The fourth generation child became a grandmother herself and has gifted her grandchild the same heirloom, jumping to the sixth generation. The sixth generation child seemed to be speaking to her playmates about what her grandma gave her, hinting that the area now has a group of several young children as the whole settlement grew larger. In the final conch, the sixth generation child has now become a mother as well. She can be heard speaking about the inevitable need to transfer to a higher settlement. The daughter then came and told her that she had no choice but to leave their prized heirloom inside a chest on the central part of Twinning Isle, the same one which she opened for 40 primos, a purple berserker goblet, 20k mora, and 4 mystic ores. Apart from the heirloom story which spanned a total of 7 generations in Twinning Isle, there was a surrounding mystery regarding the first 4 conches. I'm talking about the nursery rhyme passages at the end of every conch where we got our code to unlock the polished chests. The whole nursery rhyme aims to remind each generation about their ancestral origin, their supposed to be hometown. Now, if you put together all of the passages, it will read, 5 mountains hide the little village, 2 paths through the lonely forest, 1 river flowing down the middle, 4 winds bring the sound of joy. Could it be that the place the passages are talking about is Jingxi village? After all, the village is indeed a quaint little place and is surrounded by a lot of mountains as if hidden from the rest of Liyue. The lonely forest could be Wuwang Hill, which sounds pretty fair if you think about it. Cool winds, deafening silence, and ghost sightings. Wuwang Hill is nothing short of lonely, and you can also enter the village through the forest by following 2 different paths. If you teleport to the village waypoint, you can also see a flowing river just right in the middle. The Four Winds passage may be a bit confusing, but according to Vende's character story 5, the 4 winds refer to the 4 different seasons of winter, spring, summer, and autumn. The fourth passage could mean that Jingxi, being primarily an agricultural village, is abundant all year round. It's also common knowledge that younger people from the village depart to seek greener pastures in Liyue. Some of them eventually end up working aboard ships. So we can probably guess that First Conch Grandma and the other original inhabitants were aboard a Liyue ship. In Chapter 2, Strangers in a Strange Boat, the 2 echoing conches are scattered among the 2 smaller islands in both sides of Twinning Isle. Aside from the conch retrospections, there are also 2 wooden planks that had words carved in them, which gives us plenty of details as to what exactly transpired. The people who boarded the ship was headed by certain Chief Janomi, and they seem to have escaped from the Inazuma shogunate after a tough battle. They stole treasures before leaving Inazuma, including the Mago Kenki puppet, but their ship got wrecked upon reaching the Golden Apple archipelago. Chief Janomi's crew are part of a bigger fleet called the Ako Domeki Pirates. They were just recently given the ship by Captain Ako himself, but the ship got wrecked along the way, so they lost all the treasures they stole from Inazuma. All that's left is the Mago Kenki puppet. The Twinning Isle inhabitants gave the pirates refuge, which is evident in researcher Sayid's impression about the mural found in the island. So now we have 2 different sorts of people hailing from 2 different places coexisting in the same island. For Chapter 3, Unlucky Father, the first conch can be found in the nameless island which is left of Twinning Isle. The 2 other conches can be found in the trio of islands interconnected by bridges just above Broken Isle. The man might have first landed in the nameless island but got attacked by hilly churls. Then he somehow managed to go up to the Trio Islands where he got rescued by an unknown person. The person talking is most likely another Chingsei villager, but is a more recent settler since his son's name Dongdong is a known NPC in Chingsei village and remains a little kid until today. Interacting with Dongdong himself will tell you that his father is a sailor who's a part of Crook's fleet, the one that is headed by Beidou. In the last conch, he got rescued by someone he doesn't know in particular, so that mysterious savior might not be related to the Crook's fleet, but another islander. In Chapter 4, My Hero, one conch can be found in Pudding Isle and the other two in the central platform. This specific chapter needs to be told in reverse in order to make sense. Even though we found the last two conches within the central platform area at a later time, they hinted about stuff which happened first. So it seemed like the child had some fascination with the Mago Kenki and mistook it for a figure of a general or someone who is protecting them. Or maybe he was right. Perhaps the kid saw the puppet do something which he believed saved him and his loved ones from danger. Since the central platform is below sea level, the rising tides might have forced the family to go to a higher area, and that is Pudding Isle. This meant that they had to leave the Mago Kenki there, and that explains why in the first conch from Pudding Isle, the kid sounded so sad for the general. He ran off probably disappointed that his family didn't take the general along with them. In Chapter 5, Grand Line, one conch can be found within the secret spot in Twinning Isle, which was the same spot marked in the mural. The other four were scattered across four separate little islands, miles apart from each other, which was pretty interesting. We found out that this chapter has two people who kept bickering at each other. The guy is from the Akudomeki pirate crew, and the girl is among the younger generation of the first inhabitants. Four of the conches are split in four far-flung directions in each side of the archipelago, which means that they probably already had navigated the entire Golden Apple map. To me, it sounded like they are getting more comfortable with each other as their collaborative research progresses. The secret spot in Twinning Isle could be the guy's study area, is what I can guess from the bookshelves and study materials. They were trying to figure out a way to solve the mystery of the island's astronomic and navigational conditions. The fog density changes along with the time of day and wind direction changes with the phases of the moon. Finally, they saw a path to the exit somewhere to the north, which changed their fate. Chapter 7, Island Bygones, is comprised of four different stories from four different locations. A conclusion we can arrive judging from the Echoing Conch locations. This particular story we pieced together from the Broken Isle Conches introduced two people, an old man and a younger guy, who were taking ships in monitoring the ocean tides. This makes sense since the Broken Isle is where you can find the water level puzzle, which according to researcher Said, could have been used by the inhabitants for the same purpose. This means that over time, people have developed a more complex system of monitoring the rise and fall of ocean tides in that particular island. The Menatius Isle story chain is where we can hear two people exchanging words about the island's mystery like the inverted ruins. The younger voice is probably a new castaway and is trying to adjust to the stranded life. He was surprised to learn that the older gentleman has been in the archipelago for generations and has already accepted the fate of his own life and of the people there. At first, he tried to convince him that there is a more beautiful world outside of the islands, but in the end, he stopped talking probably because there were more important things to think about at that time. A conversation between a father and his son can be heard in the Twinning Isle Conches. The father is trying to teach his son how to fish by relying on the rising tides, but the alarm sounded too soon so they hurried their way up with great concern. This could imply that the rise of the tides can be very abrupt and that it would only take a matter of seconds to submerge low-level islands. The fourth story is about a granddaughter trying to convince her grandpa about departing the Pudding Isle and traveling their way out of the archipelago in their vessel. She assured her grandpa, which was still having second thoughts, that she has already found a way out of the archipelago. At this point, we can already imagine that the population of islanders has grown huge enough that they were already able to disperse their settlements across the entire archipelago. After uncovering every bit of retrospection and after considering other factors such as the murals, conch locations, and everything we have done so far, I was finally able to come up with several conclusions. Of course, all of these are entirely my own opinion after having connected some dots, so it's open to clarifications and other interpretations. First, the pirate from Chapter 5 Grand Line who was constantly throwing jabs at his fellow islander lady researcher might have actually fallen in love with her. This can be inferred from illegible letters found inside a marked spot in Twinning Isle, specifically the second paragraph. Second, The Islander girl researcher from Chapter 5 Grand Line is also the granddaughter in Chapter 7 Island Bygones who persuaded her grandpa to leave Pudding Isle. After discovering the exit, both her and the guy pirate researcher might have spread the good news throughout the whole archipelago, beginning a mass exodus of island inhabitants. Judging from the voice, she could also be the very same girl who left the luck treasure chest, the seventh generation daughter of the fifth conch mother in Twinning Isle. Third, the original location of the Mago Kenki is in the island north of Pudding Isle. We know this from the conch found on the other half of the ship. So how did it manage to transfer location to the central platform? Could it have moved on its own? Another more plausible way could be that a huge rise in the ocean tides drifted it away. But in chapter 4, the kid was talking to it, which could mean that after the island sank for a while, they re-emerge again, just like what is happening right now in Midsummer Island Adventure. If you'd ask me, there could be a pattern in the way the islands disappear and reappear. Fourth, there is also the question of how the Inazuma pirate ship got wrecked in two pieces. Even Paimon wondered so. My guess is that the Mago Kenki activated on its own while on board the ship and sliced the vessel in half. Even the pirate had regrets about stealing the puppet in the conch retrospection. Amidst the sinking ship, the Mago Kenki may have gotten exposed to the waters and its mechanism died, which gave the pirates a window of time to turn it off by pulling out its core. If not by the Mago Kenki, the Inazuma ship could have been destroyed by the flying mechanism that you fought in the story quest from Outer Worlds. Fifth, Dongdong's father in Chapter 3 is also the same guy in Chapter 7 who was having a conversation with an older man, judging from the voice alone and from the way he tried to describe the beauty of the outside world. Only a sailor who has been to different places could have that kind of eagerness as he spoke. And I guess that would be it for the secrets of the Echoing Conches. If you have uncovered more stories from the retrospections, feel free to comment them down below. If you like this video, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching and see you on my next video.